List.io.
Good evening, folks. I'm back. As you know, my regular partner, Mark Hoffman, can't make it because he's an anesthesiologist and he's working at the hospital. There's no telling when he'll get called in. But we are pleased to welcome back my friend Philip Nelson, the Axicab driver. Philip's an entrepreneur and a comic shop owner. And this week we're going to discuss action movies. We're going to fight over whether Die Hard is or is not a Christmas movie. We may touch on Christmas movies in general. There's no avoiding them. I could avoid them, actually. I see those Christmas movies coming a mile away. I dodge. I jump. They go under me. I get to the side. But they're there. They're out there, and everybody loves to talk about Christmas movies and Christmas music. I prefer plain old rock and roll, but 'tis the season to be jolly. So, Beck the halls with bows of holly. Let's talk about the year in movies. I see that Oscar is moving to YouTube this year. Well, it'll be next year. And that they're not going to have a time limit because it's on YouTube. So conceivably, the Academy Awards ceremony could last for 7 to 8 hours. And I know I'm looking forward to that with the keenest alacrity. However, we are providing an alternative. So if you don't want to watch the Academy Awards, I am recommending that you watch the Bob's Ass Awards. Now, let me just show you this because I want to show you the award. It's the most coveted award in well, I have a limit. All right, we're going to have to give you the photograph here, folks. It's just the photograph. It's not the painted version. We have a beautiful painted version, which is the version we will hand out to the winners. But this is what it's based on. That's Bob's ass. That's Bob on the left. Bob is our dog. And the Bob's Ass Awards are to reward outstanding achievements in mendacity, doublespeak, and hypocrisy. We've been handing them out like crazy on X. I've been handing them out like chocolates. But there are so many winners. There are so many winners. Every time some Hollywood moron opens their mouth and says, globalize the intifada, for example, or like Mark Ruffalo, who says the United States should be a socialist nation. I haven't looked up Mark Ruffalo's net worth, but I can assure you it's in excess of $30 million, all provided by a grateful socialist government. But we're not going to go into that. Let's talk about the movies of the year. Phil, did you see any outstanding movies this year? And yes, you can count movies you see at home because nobody wants to go to the theaters anymore.
You know, I love to go to the theater. And I'm trying to think if any were truly outstanding this year. There's nothing that I saw that I'm just like, I can't believe it. I watch a lot of older movies at home. And it's all over the place. I love action films, of course. I love horror films. But, you know, my man card may be revoked for this, but I love a good rom-com too, you know? I mean, my wife and I, you know, I think one of my favorite movies of all time, and don't judge Mike, but it's Hugh Grant's About a Boy.
I haven't seen that. It's funny you should mention that, and we'll get into that later. But I'll put that on my list.
I did watch it again this year, but you know, I have on streaming. I really enjoyed. I love the Reacher series. You know, Jack Reacher is a great character. I really like that. I love Fallout on Amazon. It's so well done, and if you're a fan of the video game, you're getting all the little Easter eggs that you love and want, but it's not done in a cheesy way because, you know, for a long time, the kiss of death was, oh, it's a movie based on a video game. And that means the movie is going to be total garbage and there is no script. You know, it's just like, hey, let's just take stuff from this video game and just shoot it with real people. And finally, with Fallout, we actually have a video game based movie that you actually care about the characters.
Well, I may take a look at that because I get Amazon, I get Netflix, and they've been pushing it hard. It does look intriguing, I must admit. I have seen several outstanding movies this year. Uh, One of them was Sinners, uh, the vampire movie that takes place in 30s Louisiana, starring Michael Jordan. It's the most original vampire movie I've ever seen. It's one of the freshest takes I've ever seen. But more than that, it's a slice of life that's set in a juke joint in the 30s, and it's filled with music. It's filled with the blues. I mean, a lot of blues. It's beautifully done. It's shocking. It's earthy. It holds your attention all the way through. Their take on the vampire, if you like classical vampire movies, this one is going to shock you, but I think you're going to dig it. Uh, and they also the approach to racism is part traditional and part original because when the vampires show up, they're a bunch of white people playing bluegrass.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and not only that, but the bluegrass is very good, but so are the blues. And you got to watch it all the way through because it's wildly entertaining. But also the post-credits scene where Buddy Guy appears, and Buddy Guy is
Nice.
in the movie. He's played by a younger man. They don't call him Buddy Guy, but what they show up is at the very end he turns into Buddy Guy, and Buddy Guy is still with us. I've seen Buddy Guy a couple of times. Once right here in town. He's one of the greatest blues guitarists who ever lived, and he's in his 80s now, and he's still playing.
Yeah, Buddy Guy is a beast. I saw him at Austin City Limits Festival one year, and man, that was a treat. The sad thing was, not enough people were at his show. All these kids don't even know who he is,
I know.
and it's like this guy's one of the OG legends. You know, everyone should rush to his stage instantly.
Yes, the blues are universal. Uh, I've had the good fortune of seeing Buddy Guy, B.B. King, Otis Rush, and Muddy Waters. In fact, I met Muddy Waters.
Wow.
I asked him to autograph my copy of Fathers and Sons, and he gripped a felt tip marker like an ice pick and drew his name out in block letters. Otis Spann also came to town at another time, and I got him to autograph that album as well. But then I
Wow.
lost the album. I wish I still had it. It would be worth a fortune.
Wow. Dude, so in your show, we cover a range, comic books, music, movies, it's from the mind of Mike Barron. What do we want to talk about today? I love it.
Well, it's pop culture. We were going to discuss the action movies and then the movies of the year. I want to put in a word for F1, starring Brad Pitt, which may be the best racing movie I've ever seen.
Dude, you actually thought it was better than Days of Thunder?
Yes, I did. I also
Kidding.
thought it was better than Ford versus Ferrari, which up
Yeah.
until then had been my favorite racing movie. But F1 puts you in the driver's seat as nothing has before. And I have the original great racing movie. Well, there have been racing movies since time immemorial, but Grand Prix, which came out in the late 60s and was directed by John Frankenheimer, starring James Garner with a cameo by Toshiro Mifune, was the first really great racing movie to put you in the driver's seat. And by that, I mean they mounted a movie camera in the race car and used it to film racing scenes. And it feels like you're in the car, they're jolting along. It's just amazing. There's a lot of that in F1 too. It's an outstanding movie. It doesn't get a lot of attention because it's neither fish nor fowl. It's a racing movie. That's a genre unto itself, but it's not a big marquee movie with a major name, and it doesn't deal with pressing issues of the day. It's about racing.
But the pressing issue of the day is ego, you know? And that is a very big problem in today, but nobody will admit they have an ego issue. And I really enjoyed F1. And the thing I liked about it is that, Brad Pitt is an A-list legend, right? And, I thought he did a great job of really portraying a guy that was in it for him, not for the fame. You know, that's what I like the most about it. It wasn't just like, I want to go talk to the press, look at me, look at me. And I'm not going to give out a spoiler, but you see that throughout the end of the movie that he really just, well, he was battling against himself really more than anything else when I saw it. That was my takeaway.
Yeah, it was a brilliant character study. Not only that, he seems to know how to conduct himself when he's not making a movie. You never hear about him popping off on politics,
That's true.
which I admire.
So, Mike, I got to throw out, when I watch movies, you're a writer, you're a legendary writer, so you look at movies through different eyes. I can really go to a bad movie and love it. Can you go see a bad movie and enjoy it, or does it drive you crazy?
Well, define bad.
Well, like Predator's Badlands.
I haven't seen that.
It's so ridiculous, but I like a good popcorn film, It's predators battling monsters and
Right.
and and things that are so unreal. I mean, nothing is realistic in general, but there's not even suspension of disbelief at all because it's like this is so over the top insane. But you know what? Grab some popcorn and have fun and go watch Predator Badlands. I really thought it was fun.
Well, yeah, I'm at a stage these days where if a story doesn't take itself seriously, why should I take it seriously? And that excludes comedies. But there haven't been many funny comedies lately, and we both know why. And we've discussed this before, but that's because all humor is based on tragedy. It's based on the juxtaposition of the sacred and the profane. So there's a possibility of offense linking, lurking between the surface of all great humor.
Right.
Like the Marx Brothers. How many people today have even heard of the Marx Brothers? Well, I guess most have, but for those who are interested but don't know the Marx Brothers, Duck Soup is their best movie. It's a very funny movie, and it lampoons governments, these pompous asses that take over a nation and think that they're God's gift to humanity. And finally, it's about how the country Fredonia goes to war. And they have this big musical number called To War, To War, We're All Going to War. We got guns, they got guns, all got shilling got guns. And there's this huge musical number celebrating the militarization of the country. You have to see it to believe it. So if
Wow.
you haven't seen any Marx Brothers, watch that.
I've seen Marx Brothers. I haven't seen that, and it's been decades since I've watched any. So now I have some new things to add to the
Oh, yeah.
reading list. Do you enjoy like just silly comedy?
Oh, yeah.
Like what would be your favorite silly comedy?
Um, well, I hesitate to say Blazing Saddles.
Oh my gosh, fantastic movie.
And talk about shock value. They couldn't make that movie today. Fortunately, I have it on DVD, so I can watch it anytime I want. But Mel Brooks is one of the masters of silly comedy. I think his first movie, The Producers, is one of the best. That is honestly laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
So is Young Frankenstein, because he's not afraid uh, to break the third wall, and also to have things that are not that jump out of the dramatic line, well, as the dramatic line of the storyline, just for shock value or for humor value, if it's honestly funny, and a lot of it is.
The Blazing Saddles, I watched it with my kids and their friends.
Yeah.
And, in 2025 and this era, it is a shocking film for people to see that are used to the political correctness that we live in today. And, for some of my friends that are comedians, I talk to them about it, that, people are afraid to be offended, or they're just terrified to offend someone. And the best comedy offends everyone.
That's true.
It's like if you're not offended, they're not working hard enough. Like that scene at the beginning when they're on the railroad, and it's like, play me one of those work songs, and they're
I
like,
know.
I get no kicks from champagne, and they're like, no, we want Camptown Ladies, and then the guys are all jumping around singing the song, and the workers are just laughing at them. But that movie was fantastic. One of my more modern favorite comedies that is just over the top funny is by Andy Samberg, and it's Hot Rod. Have you ever seen Hot Rod?
No.
Hot Rod is so funny. It's about this kid whose dad died when he was really young, and he was a stuntman and worked with Evel Knievel. And Andy Samberg plays the son, and he just wants to be as great as his dad, and so he's going to be the world's greatest stuntman. And he's horrible. And he's in the movie. He says all stuntmen have mustaches, and he has this stick-on mustache, and they all make fun of him. He goes, "I can't grow a mustache," but it's so over the top silly, and every bit in the movie I think it hits well. And I watch it. That's one that I watch with my kids at least 3 times a year.
All right, I put it on the list. I will catch it.
I could lose all of your respect when you watch it. You're going to be, Nelson, I'm never taking another movie recommendation again.
Another comedy that I recommend is His Girl Friday, which was directed by Howard Hawks and stars Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell. Cary Grant's a newspaper publisher. And they're covering a story that's breaking right there about a murder, and they got a guy in custody who didn't do it. And the humor they get out of that is outrageous. One of the reasons is that Cary Grant ad-libbed half his lines.
Did he really?
Oh, yeah. And the one thing you can't program into a movie is spontaneity. And when you see, and I mean, Cary Grant, what a sharp guy he was to see these opportunities and to just throw the line out there. And Hawk says, yeah, that's gold. We're going to keep that. That's one way to do it. As for modern comedies, I always thought The Hangover was pretty funny.
Hangover was so cringe. Every scene, like when the guy jumps out of the trunk and Ed Helms gets his teeth knocked out. I mean, it's just like, how can this get more insane? And it does. That was actually a really funny movie. I enjoyed that one.
Speaking of action movies, it's often easier to find comedy in action than in a straight comedy. And the reason is the more the physical activity increases, the greater your opportunity is to spin off jokes about it. I'm thinking about Hobbs and Shaw, which starred The Rock and Jason Statham. That's honestly a very funny movie. The actual story where they're fighting this international arms cartel represented by Idris Elba is not nearly as interesting as the byplay that they come out when they're feuding with each other and trying to insult each other.
Did you see Jason Statham? Did you see The Beekeeper?
Yes.
What did you think of The Beekeeper?
Well, it was great to the end.
Yeah, it was great until the end. I love the concept, though, of this bad dude keeping bees and goes back to avenge a victim of fraud, and we won't give away any, but I just thought it was a really fun idea. Well, fun is kind of a warped way to say it, but I thought it was clever. And, he just is a guy who wants to be left alone, and he keeps bees and gets honey. And little do you know, he's the baddest dude in the planet,
It's that thing is, who knew he was a retired CIA assassin? That also applies to Nobody with Bob Odenkirk, who's a very unlikely action hero. But the original Nobody was immensely entertaining until, again, you get to the end, and it has the same problem that The Beekeeper has. It was at the end, they're both shooting down thousands of nameless, faceless assassins that are burbling up out of the sewers, skydiving out of the sky, riding up on motorcycles. Where are they coming from? We don't know who they are. We don't know what they represent, but they all got to be mowed down. And I didn't think that was Jason Statham's strong point. That also is how Working Man ends, based on a Chuck Dixon novel. I've read the novel, Levin Helm. And Levin Helm is a good old boy from Alabama, but unfortunately, as Sly Stallone so often does, he transposes transports the story from its original setting, which is essential to the story, to another setting, in this case, Chicago. So it became kind of an anodyne action Jason Statham movie. But even those are entertaining because the fight choreography in and of itself is fascinating. That's why people watch these movies. They say, how the hell can somebody move like that? But it also had a plot, and the plot was serviceable up to a point.
Did you see Novocaine?
Yes, that was funny.
I enjoyed Novocaine because once again, it's just it keeps getting more and more insane.
Yep,
But they did a good job on making it semi-believable, you know?
they did, and the main character is very credible for he's a refreshing change in that he's not this egomaniac martial artist. He's just a guy trying to save his sweetheart, and when you first meet him, he's a bit of a you know a schlump, an everyman, a
Yes.
clueless guy, but he grows in stature throughout the movie, and he's a different person at the end. He's still
I love the like you said, he was just a nobody really, but he won't eat solid food because he has to eat liquids because he's afraid of biting his cheek, you know? And then where this movie goes, it just made that whole bit about I'm not going to eat solid food because I may bite my cheek to the most insane roller coaster. I did not expect much from it. You know, that's one of the other things when you go to a movie and you don't expect much, that actually can make it better than it,
absolutely.
it's like no expectations. I'm just bored and I'm going to watch this. And I thought that was a fun one. I thought that was a clever movie as well.
And for people who don't know, it's called Novocaine because it's about a young man who cannot feel pain. He's got this odd physiological condition where he just does not feel pain. And that serves him in good stead while he's trying to save his girlfriend who's been abducted, maybe, by these thugs who are trying to hold up the bank.
Yeah, and his whole adrenaline shot thing, that's, I won't tell exactly what it is, but I just thought that was really fun. I liked that movie a lot.
Yeah, me too. I'm trying to think what else I saw this year that was outstanding. I loved Saturday Night. That was funny.
I didn't see Saturday Night.
Well, it's about the airing of the first Saturday Night Live program, and one of the clever things about it is it happens in real time. It begins, and the screen says 90 minutes to showtime, and then it goes straight ahead, minute by minute. You meet the whole cast: Chevy Chase, John Belushi, and the actors that play them are very good. And the guy that's in charge, what's his name, who created Saturday Night Live?
Lorne Michaels.
Lorne Michaels. Yes, he's a young man when we meet him in this movie, and he's desperately trying to get the green light. And he hadn't have the green light yet. I mean, the show's supposed to go live in 90 minutes, and the network is still on the fence. Because they keep watching the skits and the performances that these people put on, and they're hilariously off key and wrong, and there's a lot of pratfalls and disasters and things that shouldn't happen. But
yeah, a series I saw this year that I actually liked most of it was For All Mankind. Did you see that?
No, what's that about?
So it's pretty cool. It's set in the 60s for the U.S. NASA space program. But it starts off matching America's history and quickly goes to a totally alternate reality of we did not make it to the moon first. It was the Soviets. And the Soviets lead. The first flag on the moon was, the hammer and sickle. And NASA pivots. And it's a multi-season series that I really liked most of, because they're like, okay, we need to be the first one to build a base on the moon, since we weren't the first one to land on the moon. So it just showed the escalation of the space race because the U.S. didn't win the moon landing.
Yes, and I'm sure people are going to claim that For All Mankind was actually filmed here on Earth and that none of the space scenes are real.
Right. Yes. But yeah, it'd be interesting to get your take on it if you're bored. I can't remember what streaming service it's on, but you mentioned something earlier, since this is a pop culture show, that the Oscars are going to streaming, right?
Yes.
The industry has changed so much. It's just, you have the Netflix and Warner, and you have all these things happening. TV is not going to be, used to, you had certain people curating what you got. You had three channels, and then you watched it, and you had, everybody knew what was happening on I Love Lucy, and they knew what was happening on these shows. And now it's like these micro fan bases are what's going to rule the world. I was talking to some friends the other day that I wonder, in 10 years, will there actually be a globally famous household celebrity name? Because it's like you have the TikTokers, and and kids are huge fans of these TikTokers, and half the people that, like me, have no clue who these kids are, but they are really, really famous to a very targeted audience. And so as we talk about Brad Pitt being an A-list actor, you just wonder, in the next 10 to 15 years, will there be anyone who is truly globally famous, like Elvis, or like the Beatles, or like Cary Grant? Back in that era, everybody in the world knew who he was if they had access to movies and television.
Well, there are young celebrities coming up. Austin Butler comes to mind. He played Elvis in that
Yeah.
lavish musical version. And I saw him most recently in Caught Stealing, which is a wild crime caper that takes place in Manhattan in the 70s. A lot of people didn't like it. I did like it. It's got some crazy ideas in it, like these two rabbis who are hitmen.
Oh, nice.
And talk about the juxtaposition of the sacred and the profane. There it is. And they're funny too. I'm trying to think who played them. One of them
They were the Orthodox Jews hitmen, right?
Yes. Did you see it?
I didn't see it. I saw clips, and I was like, that's a bold move.
It was Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, a big Liev Schreiber fan. Of course, if you haven't seen Ray Donovan, I recommend it. But that's in the rear view. That's the beauty of these films they make, is you can always go back and watch. There's more great cinema that was made before the internet rose, so you could spend the rest of your life watching it and be wildly entertained.
When we were talking about older films, and this could be considered an action film, but it's really not an action film, and it's Sergeant York. I think that is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Brilliant movie. Howard Hawks again.
And it was Gary Cooper, right?
Yes.
It was. I just thought, and it's based on a true story, which even makes it cooler. The whole turkey scene, and the Germans stick their head up and like, what is that? Why do we hear a turkey out here on the trenches of the battlefield?
One of the things that makes it great is that we see how Sergeant York became Sergeant York. We see him at his beginnings in Kentucky and growing up and learning to be a hunter, and the forming of his character for faith and country, and how he carries that with him when he goes to war.
Yeah, conscientious objector who becomes a Medal of Honor winner,
That's also the theme of Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah. Hacksaw Ridge, I read a story about that medic. I think he was a Seventh-day Adventist. He had a religious reason he could not carry a gun. And what I loved about it is that he, even through boot camp, they were trying to get him kicked out. They're like, this guy's going to get us killed. no one wanted to be around him, and he just never quit. Even when he was shot, he's saving people. You know, he gives up his stretcher after he's been shot because somebody's more injured than him, and he's crawling. You know, what a just amazing story of human determination and loyalty to his brothers. You know.
It's one of Mel Gibson's best movies. I recommend it.
Yeah, Hacksaw Ridge is the one that we're talking. That's the one with the medic, right? I just wanted
Yes,
to make sure.
yes.
I hope I wasn't described. You know, I
No,
was
you
like,
got
what
the
if
right
that was
movie.
actually Full Metal Jacket? Just kidding.
Well, Full Metal Jacket is memorable as well. Uh, for one thing, it introduced Arlie Ermy to the cinema watching crowd, and he became the archetype of the drill instructor because that's what he was. And also Vincent
Yeah,
D'Onofrio in a very early role where he played a crazy son of a bitch, which he has frequently over the years. He also played Robert E. Howard in the biopic of Robert E. Howard. He was very good in that. And of course, he played the Kingpin.
dude, I thought he was great as Kingpin. He really was. That
I,
Daredevil series was a really. I enjoyed the Daredevil series.
I've never seen it. I suppose I should watch it. I do have access to it. I will, by Godfrey, I will watch it. I'm trying to think of other memorable films I've seen throughout the year. Uh,
I know it. I need to look up at what films came out this year, and that will spark me because I watch movies all the time, and they're not always new releases. And so it's like I just know what I've seen this year. And let's see, movies of 2025. Let's see, the joys of the internet.
well, I don't see how you can hold your phone up and speak on this camera at the same time.
Well, because I'm one of those nerds that has two phones.
Oh my God. All right.
Yes. Um, I'm looking. Oh, you know, okay. Did you see the Superman movie?
No, I started to watch it. I watched the first 15 minutes. I thought, well, this is just too silly for me. And then I returned it.
I actually, once again, popcorn movie. I enjoyed it. I think the star of Superman was truly Crypto. The dog was,
FAD.
I mean, and you know, I just thought that was great. Fantastic Four First Steps. Did you see that one?
No, I haven't. I got to tell you, I'm very cool on superhero movies again. Uh,
Yeah,
which is ironic since I've labored in that field for so many years. Uh, but it comes to this: I can't take a movie seriously unless the movie takes itself seriously. And every time I
yeah.
tune in on these, I see a bunch of wisecrack. And I am going to watch Deadpool and Wolverine because I think that hits the spot. At least I've heard that it's honestly funny because it arises out of an absurd situation. There's certainly a lot to make fun of there.
You know, last episode we talked about what I liked about 80s horror and it didn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what made some of these classic horror films of the 80s so good. And Deadpool Wolverine 100%. It is irreverent to itself. It's got some I really enjoyed Deadpool Wolverine.
All right, I'll watch it. I think I
Okay,
get
here's
it.
another one I want to ask you. Did you see Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein?
Yes,
What did you think of that?
I loved it. It blew me away. Everything about it. The visuals were so lavish. And in retrospect, you think, well, that's ridiculous. Where would he get a lab like that or houses like that? But it was gripping, and you cared about the characters, and of course his interpretation of the monster is unique and highly memorable. Probably the most sympathetic character of the Frankenstein monster we're ever going to see, and it works partly because of that, because this monster has a heart and a soul.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have four kids, three daughters, one son, and my youngest daughter is 16. She loves Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, loves the book. And then my oldest daughter doesn't like a lot of violent movies, but she wanted to see it. So I take them to see it. Neither of them liked it.
Really?
And there was only one reason, I think. and it was because they went a little over the top on the dismemberment of bodies.
It was a little gruesome.
Well, where you could accomplish what they did in 20 minutes in 5 and not affect the story at all.
It's true.
And so the fact that they went over the top gratuitous on the sawing of bodies and disassembling bodies, and I think that ruined it for my daughters, because because it was so over the top and graphic, it kind of lost them for the rest of the real story.
I understand that.
But I loved it. And I mean, I thought it was a little over the top, but I do like over the top,
One thing I found out is that opening scene where the ship is frozen in the Arctic. They're trying to reach the North Pole. It's just massive ship. And I read that the producer said, well, we can do this with AI. And Del Toro put his foot down and says, no, I need a real ship. That's a real ship that they built for the movie. It just blows my mind. I know.
That is I'm still on Wikipedia going through lists of movies.
Well, I saw Warfare, which is the most stunning slice of life look at what war is like from the street level, from the average soldier's eyes that I've ever seen. And it's about 24 hours in the life of a troop in Afghanistan during the recent war and what they undergo. They're going from house to house and room to room. It's not a big strategic movie. It's about the lives of these soldiers and what they're up against. It's a little grim because it's warfare.
Yeah.
It's the most realistic thing I've ever seen. If you want to,
wow, that's a strong statement.
Yeah. I also enjoyed The Accountant too, which of course stars Ben Affleck as the guy, as the most autistic hero in the films. And once again, he's a former CIA assassin, or he's been trained in that way. But his caricature, his acting in that part is perfect. It's note perfect, and he teams up with John Bernthal as his cousin. Again, because it's an action movie, there's a lot of humor they wring from that. And it's not too gruesome.
I like John Bernthal. I think he does a really good job. I loved him as Punisher. Did you see his?
Yeah, I did. I thought he was a good Punisher. There was nothing wrong with John Bernthal, but the scripts were needlessly convoluted and had very little to do with the original concept.
It's funny. I work in television, and I've worked on a lot of live television and have a lot of friends in the industry. But like one of my good buddies is Bob Burden, who created the Flaming Carrot.
Oh, I know Bob.
And I know you've known Bob for years. But he and I've had a lot of discussion about his movie, The Mystery Men. Did you see The Mystery Men?
You mean Men of Mystery?
No, Mystery Men, Bob Burden's movie. It was it's 25 years old. It was basically a team of blue-collar superheroes that either have no powers or really bad ones.
I know. I've seen it.
It stars Ben Stiller.
Yeah. It's funnier than hell.
William H. Macy.
You're absolutely right. Wait. That's the Hank Azaria movie. That's not it. Well, let me just see.
And Greg Kinnear is in it.
He's
Garoppolo.
He's a superhero character. Hang on a second. I think we got the wrong title here.
It's Mystery Men. While you look it up, Bob and I did a panel. I moderated a panel at San Diego Comic-Con.
It is Mystery Men.
2 years ago on the 25th anniversary of the Mystery Men. And what's really cool is I was just me interviewing Bob about the Mystery Men, the Flaming Carrot, all this stuff. And Mike Richardson from Dark Horse snuck out of the Hellboy party to attend our 7 o'clock panel. And oops, see, there we go. I dropped my phone. But hold on, I'll get repositioned here. I may just hold it. Why not? So anyway, Mike Richardson walks in, and he had told me he was going to try to make it. So I actually had an extra name tag made, and it was on stage, face down, and Bob and I were just sitting there with our little badges in front of us that says Philip Nelson, Bob Burden, and I allow the audience to ask questions throughout the discussion. I don't wait for Q&A to the end because people forget their questions.
Right.
And Mike Richardson raises his hand and asks a question from the audience. And I'm like, hey, everybody, it's Mike Richardson from Dark Horse Comics. But Mike, what you don't know is you're actually on this panel. And I turned over his name badge, just like, get up here and get on stage. So we conscripted him into the panel, and it ended up being really good. But one of the stories Bob told, and it goes back to what you're talking about writing. Bob is a brilliant writer. One of the OG, new wave of comic books in the 80s, like with these really good independent books. He said he wrote the first script, and then they let the Sony writers room go after it.
For Hellboy?
No, for the Mystery Men.
Oh.
And he said their arrogance was crazy, and nobody would listen to him, even though he's the creator and he knows the characters better than anyone. And they changed a bunch of stuff. So Bob likes the movie, but he doesn't love the movie because he knows what it could have been. But it is a cult classic. I mean, people, every time I'm with Bob, there's a line of people bringing Mystery Men DVDs and posters and toys and things they want to get signed because they love the Mystery Men. In fact, the bus that they used in that movie, they called it the Herkimer Battle Jitney. It was, and Bob's names are always funny. But it's a weaponized combat vehicle. It's just basically a giant armored bus that does nothing. And then the Mystery Men find it in a junkyard, and they use it to attack Casanova Frankenstein, who's the villain, played by Jeffrey Rush. And but what's cool is that a couple years ago at Dragon Con, this guy found the prop, restored it, and they drove it in the opening parade of Dragon Con.
Oh my God.
And Bob was on it waving at people, and it was just, it's so funny that, a movie, it is over the top ridiculous, but it was supposed to be. That's Bob's surrealism and zany style. And Hollywood just didn't get it, but a lot of it still made it into the movie. You have the invisible boy whose power is that he can only be invisible when no one is watching.
It is a funny movie. I'll have to watch that again. It's one of the funnier movies that's supposed to be funny.
It was ahead of its time because at that time, everybody expected a superhero movie to be about superheroes.
Right.
And even Sony didn't get it. And they advertised it as a superhero movie, They didn't say blue-collar superheroes with really bad powers. They just advertised it as a superhero movie. So fans that didn't know go to this movie, and it's crazy. I mean, Janine Garofalo's character is the bowler, and she throws a bowling ball at people, Pee Wee Herman or Paul Rubin was the spleen who just has really bad gas, Ben Stiller was Mr. Furious, who has uncontrollable rage. So it was silly.
Speaking of Ben Stiller, Tropic Thunder is probably, no, I'm not going to say his crowning achievement because he also directed Escape from Dannemora. And if you've never seen that, it's a mind blower. It's a true story about these murderers serving life in prison in upstate New York. And Benicio del Toro plays one of them, and it's how they escape. And it's a true story. And it's heart-clutchingly real. But to get back to Tropic Thunder, Tom Cruise plays this character in there who's a movie studio executive. Let me see if I can get his name. It's probably the funniest thing. It's the funniest thing Tom Cruise has ever done.
I couldn't believe Tom took the role.
Les Grossman. Yeah, you remember that, right?
Oh, I was shocked that Tom Cruise did it. And it made me like him more that he would do that, you know?
That's the funniest 10 minutes it may be in cinema history, or at least in the last 20 years. We'd play it here, except if you do some copyrighted material, you can't monetize it. We're not looking to monetize it. Nobody's going to monetize this anyway. What the hell? Let's see. Let's show the people what we're talking about.
We just have to talk while it's playing. That's the key.
Really? All right.
Yeah, and Robert Downey Jr.'s character, you know, dude, that was I think one of the last irreverent movies where they pulled off some stuff that nobody could get away with today.
I hope you can't hear this. I'm just waiting for this to get over.
It's fun to talk movies. I'll vamp while you search. Yeah, but yeah, I have to send Bob Burden a link to this so he knows we gave him a shout out on the show.
Come on. Oh, jeez. I hate this. All right, here we go.
Tropic Thunder, starring Tom Cruise.
Let me see. Let me get this up on the stage.
It's me again.
All right.
Prima donnas, clowns. Tug Stephen, he can't cry. He can't cry.
You know how you handle an actor? They whine about anything. You pull down their pants and you spank their ass.
You spank that ass, Les.
You want to make this movie right? That's where you take your pansy-ass actors.
Who is this guy?
No,
Les, that's Four Leaf.
Sergeant Fourleaf Tabor. I wrote the book.
Oh. You're a great American. This nation owes you a huge debt. Now shut the fuck up and let me do my job. Cockburn, from now on, my fist is going to be so far up your shithole that every time you have a thought, it's going to have to tiptoe past my wedding ring. Take control of your actors or I will shut you down. Diet Coke! I'm going to rip your fucking
Diet Coke.
Want to talk about trouble? That's trouble. Whoa. What do you need, Peck?
And more like, what do you need, Les? Glasses?
What?
So you can read the Tropic Thunder contract that guarantees my client, Tug Speedman, some form of digital video recorder on location? Huh?
Look, Fuckstick, I'm incredibly busy, so why don't you get the hell out of here before I snap your dick off and jam it into your ass? No, not you, Helen. But I will rip your tits off if you don't get me those theaters.
Perfect. Hey, Tuggernuts, I've got you on speakerphone. I'm standing here with Les Grossman, and he is dying to tell you why he has apparently wiped his ass with the TiVo clause from your contract.
This is Les Grossman. Who is this?
This is Flaming Dragon.
Oh, okay. Flaming Dragon. Fuckface. First, take a big step back and literally
Fuck your own face! Now, I don't know what kind of pan-Pacific bullshit power play you're trying to pull here, but Asia Jack is my territory. So whatever you're thinking, you better think again. Otherwise, I'm going to have to head down there, and I will rain down on a godly fucking firestorm upon you. You're going to have to call the fucking United Nations and get a fucking binding resolution to keep me from fucking destroying you. I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker. I will massacre you. I will fuck you up.
I want a caniac combo with extra cane sauce,
There we go.
toast, and a half sweet tea, half lemon.
Yeah, once again, I could not believe Tom Cruise took that role.
I know there's a lot more to it, and there are clips on YouTube that I didn't have time to find them that are devoid of these irritating ads that pop up every 5 minutes. But you should watch the whole movie. But the Tom Cruise segment is at least 10 minutes long, and it ends with that dance. You remember the dance? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
once again, I am still blown away that Tom Cruise said, yes, I will do this movie.
yes, yes.
Definitely off brand for him, as
Yeah.
Mr. Action Star.
Yeah, well, he can
And
be
he
very
played the
funny.
balding, annoying film mogul,
Yes, yeah, but he nailed it too. I mean,
He did.
that's obviously based on people he knows.
Yeah, he probably had a lot to draw from for that character.
So, movies of the year. That was not from this year. I do want to put in a word for a series I just watched on Prime. It's called The Night Manager. It stars Tom Hiddleston and Hugh Laurie, and it's based on a John le Carré novel. And when you base a movie on a really great novel and you adhere to the novel, you get great drama. It's probably the most suspenseful series I've ever seen in my life. If you like that sort of thing, I recommend it.
It's actually on my to-watch list. I just haven't watched it.
If you watch the first episode, you're going to be hooked.
So have you seen the one Palm Royale with Carol Burnett?
No.
It's basically about how ridiculous society is in Palm Beach, Florida.
I'll watch that.
But Carol Burnett, once again, I can't believe she took this role. It's insane. It's a comedy. And it's actually way better than I expected it to be. It's one of those where I'm like, I'll watch the first episode, and I was just like, oh my gosh, please tell me this is not really how society is down there. But I know some people, and I've heard that it actually is almost that insane.
You may be right, Phil. I wouldn't know. But anyhow, let's leave it at that before we run out of things to say, which probably would never happen.
We never discussed Die Hard, though, as a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie.
I mean, it is a Christmas movie.
So we agree on that.
Now we've discussed it. We've put that to bed once and for all for all of the society. Mike Barron and Philip Nelson have declared it is a Christmas movie. Move on. There's nothing to see here.
Well, there's plenty to see, but there's plenty to celebrate as well. So thanks for watching, folks.
Ozzy, what are you doing? Come and have a look at this lovely book that was sent over.
You're wrapping in the perpendicular.
Oh, go on and spit the bat out your mouth. No one can understand you like that.
Very nice. Say how 5 dentists and all.
Oh, well, that's not much better. Ozzy, why don't you sing to me? I can always understand you when you sing to me.
Fucking my brains. What is this my publisher sent me? Inked in black with art so sweet.
So what do you think? Do you like it?
Oh, Lord, yeah.
In a world where sequels and prequels and derivative slop rule the TV and movie landscape, one magazine dares to make fun of them all. One mag to roast them all. One mag to troll them. One mag to break their balls. And in the ratings, roll them.
Cut!
live viewing of any Madness Entertainment Group production, you can find all our content on Roku or as a member of this channel. We'll see you next time on the Madness Entertainment